Good morning and welcome to day 20. I'm going to do something slightly different today and focusing on you, your body, your breath, of course, but also I want to introduce some more background to some of the poses that we do in yoga. So, many of the original poses from the early teachings are associated with stories and mythology. I'd like to tell you about some of those so that you can feel and embody the pose and understand the intentions behind the pose. A lot of the teachings around yoga encompassed stories of great events that were therefore going to teach the people about ethics, about what was right and wrong, about the way to live your life in a journey to meditation and reaching the divine consciousness, whatever that meant to you. So start today, just again, as usual, by finding a comfortable seated position and tune into yourself. Notice how you feel. Scan your body from your toes to your feet, ankles and legs, up through your hips, belly and abdomen, up the spine, through the chest, down your shoulders, arms, wrists, hands and fingers, up your neck and through your head. Notice how you feel. Notice areas of tension. See if you can soften. And then bring attention to your breath. We're going to go through box breathing again, which we did a couple of days ago. But before we do that, I want to take us back to understanding ocean breath, Ujjayi breath, to help you control the rate at which you inhale and exhale, if you wish to. So with Ujjayi breath, there is constriction at the back of the throat. It's like if you are fogging up a mirror or a window, so it makes a noise. But you do it with your mouth closed and you do it on the inhale and the exhale so you can slow down the rate of the passage of the breath. That gives you the ability to lengthen the inhale or the exhale because you've got that level of control. So just try that. Now, box breathing, or 4-4, 4-4-4-4 breathing, that is inhaling for a count of 4, pausing for a count of 4, exhaling for a count of 4, and pausing for a count of 4. There's already a pause at the end of the inhale and the end of the exhale, but we're extending that. And I've said this before, but this helps you tap into the nervous system and increase the parasympathetic activity and calm the nervous system, calm the body. So we'll try that. So first, inhaling for 4. Pause. Exhale. Pause. And again. Couple more. Inhale. Last one. Let your breath return to its natural rhythm. soften or close your eyes and notice how you feel. Notice if there has been any response to that by dampening down some of the nervous system, giving a kind of relaxation. It's a really good breath if you're anxious, if you're overthinking things and your brain is spinning. So it's a good breath to do at night before bed, or even in bed if you can't sleep. Just take some steady breaths at your own rhythm again. And breathe. Okay, we'll just have some movement seated before we come up to look at Warrior 1, 2 and 3 and the mythology behind them. So start taking your hands down to the mat like yesterday or the day before, whichever day it was. Let the breath move your arms. So inhale, let them float up. Exhale, let them come down. And again. One more. This time float them up and leave them there. So inhale again. And breathe. As you inhale, lengthen through the fingertips. As you exhale, soften. One more. Then lengthen and release. Take your hands to your knees and let's take some seated cat-cow. So tilt the pelvis, lift through the chest, rounding the belly forwards, take the gaze up. Tilt the pelvis, arch the back and round through the spine, chin to chest. Inhale and lift. Exhale and round. Inhale and lift. Exhale and round. Inhale and lift. Exhale and round. And come back to neutral. Let's take some side bends. Left hand down to the mat. Inhale, sweep up and over. Exhale, come back. Swap sides. Inhale, up and over. Exhale, come back. Carry on. One more each side. Just noticing how you feel. Make that the focus of your practice. And pause. Just walk the left hand out to the side. Take the head over to the right. And inhale, lift the chin. Exhale and lower. Feeling that stretch through the side of the neck. Just doing a few of those at your pace. And back to center. Swap sides. Walk the right hand out. Head over to the left. Inhale and lift. And lower. And come back to center. Let's take some circles at the shoulders. So hands first of all, just take your fingertips to your shoulders and circle up, round and back. Change direction. Then sweep the arms up and over one at a time. Left arm first, and then the right, and then the left. Even turning the body to the side, change direction. You have to work out which way you were going. And pause. Take the hands in front and interlace the fingers and stretch the palms forward, arching round the back. Take the arms up, lift, down and round, up and lift and release. So the story of Virabhadrasana, warrior. Warrior pose is probably one of the most iconic poses in yoga. You see it on adverts. I love it. The yogis I work with that love it. Everybody seems to love it. Now there are different versions of the story with little changes here and there depending who's reported it. But there is a progressive theme that links each of the stories. The asanas, that's the poses, are derived from an ancient story of Lord Shiva. There are many lessons to be learned in the story and a huge range of emotion. There is love, attachment, pride, shame, vengeance, violence, sadness, compassion, and renunciation. The story begins with Daksha, a puritanical priest who had problems with Shiva. Daksha thrived on set rules and regulations and believed everybody should do the same. He was considered an upholder of society, but also an authoritarian. He considered Shiva to be inappropriate and was described in some of the tales as a dreadlocked free spirit, a man with a bad temper who sat at the top of a mountain in meditation for years. Those two things don't sound like they go together. A hermit who frequented cremation grounds, or also a man who would indulge in intoxicants, sing and dance whenever he chose. So these different descriptions of Lord Shiva emerged. He sounds like a pretty good chap to me, if you ask me. But Daksha did not approve of Shiva or his clothing or his appearance. He also was referred to as a scantily clad vagabond who kept company with ghosts, goblins, and dogs. Daksha had organized a huge party, inviting the gods and many suitors for his daughter Sati. Sati attended the party, and it is described as mixing with potential suitors as though interested. And in one description, in one sort of story, Sati throws up her garland and invokes Shiva. Her father had to accept her choice, and as such, they were united and married, much to the horror of Daksha. Sati was devoted to her Lord Shiva. Together, they lived in a city he had created, the pleasure city Bhoga. Daksha, Sati's father, had never approved of the marriage or of her choice of husband. The different stories give us different snippets, but then Daksha organised another huge party. Sati was then not invited to this party, and she turned up uninvited. She was then questioned by her father to ask why she had bothered to attend. He's described as mocking his daughter and her love for her husband, referring to him, Shiva, as Lord of the Beasts. Sati was humiliated, but she defended her Shiva. She told her father, he is one with nature and does not seek to control animals by bending them to his will. Society is artificial and exploits nature. But she felt aggrieved and was further taunted by her father. Sati was horrified that she would be let down in such a way by a member of her own family, worse, her father. So, again, at this point in the story, there are different variations and versions, but the result was the same. Sati's body was burnt and she died. In one version, she sat in meditation and her body burst into flames. In another, she stated she no longer wanted the body that her father had given her, and as such she threw herself onto the fire. Shiva knew immediately that something had happened to his beloved Sati. Shiva had lost his love, and he was totally absorbed by rage. What happened next again comes with different descriptions in different accounts. Certainly he descended into a dark place without his beloved wife. He's described as tearing out his hair, or one dreadlock from his head, depending on the story you read. This dreadlock transformed into a great warrior, the name being Viri and Bhadra. Viri from hero, Bhadra meaning friend. Virabhadra rose up from out of the ground. In one of the descriptions, on one version, Virabhadra marched with an army of ghosts and goblins to Daksha's ritual hall, destroying the entire place. The warrior confronts Daksha with a sword in both hands. In some descriptions, he's thrusting his way up through the earth from deep underground. This is Virabhadrasana 1, so we'll come to it in a second. The warrior then sees his opponent, Daksha, and positions to attack. This is Virabhadrasana 2. With fast and swift movements, the warrior takes his sword out and cuts off Daksha's head. He's depicted wielding the sword in one hand and the head in the other. This is Virabhadrasana 3. In most versions, Shiva then arrives to see the scene of destruction. He absorbs the warrior back into his own form, and from here onward is known as Hare the Ravisher. From here, some accounts state that Sati donned a new body and turned up to scold Shiva. One version says that the gods begged him for mercy, and despite his anger, Shiva's anger, it soon dissipated. Either way, Shiva generously restores Daksha back to life, giving him the head of a goat. Daksha was overwhelmed by such generosity. Some say he held another party, making Shiva and Sati his honoured guests. Shiva was renamed by Daksha the kind and benevolent one. The other gods followed his lead and honoured Shiva. However, the end of the story had not yet been reached. Sati was still dead, and Shiva bereft without his beloved wife. Taking her lifeless body, he journeyed to an isolated place and became a recluse. So, considering the meaning behind the story, Shiva is believed to be the higher self, a representation of the higher self. But the higher self slays the prideful ego represented by Daksha. This is done for the sake of the heart being Sati. However, through compassion, the higher self forgives the ego. So Shiva forgives Dakshi. The higher self still withdraws to a secluded space with only the essential nature of the heart left intact. This is the power of love, and it will be brought to life again in another form. Or, every god screw up, but their mistakes teach us. Impulses can be regrettable and do not solve the problem. Having a sweet outlook is kinder to both us and those around us. So, the story is bringing us to consider love for others, and compassion for ourselves and others, forgiveness, compassion for others' actions, to consider what the right action should be, because the right action that's driven by rage is not necessarily the right action and won't necessarily make us feel better. And having compassion and love for those that harm us, even if it's ourself, is better for us in the long run. So, coming to standing on the mat, starting in our mountain pose, Tadasana, lifting up the toes, spreading them wide and placing them down on the mat, lifting through the quads so that the kneecaps lift, strong through the core so that the abdominal muscles are slightly engaged, slightly tilted, the pelvis under, tucked just a little, rolling the shoulders down and back, arms down by your side. A strong line of energy. And breathe. So, turning towards the left edge of the mat, left foot forward, stepping the right foot back, setting up for Virabhadrasana 1. This is Lord Shiva. This is our higher self, enraged, either appearing with sword or rising from the ground in front of Daksha, our ego. Be strong through the legs. Don't come into a back bend. Try and keep the pelvis kind of square and be strong in your warrior. As you inhale, lift the arms, bend that front knee. This is where your swords are pointed up to the ceiling, drawn in strength. In this pose, you can feel the strength from your inner self. Notice how it feels in your body. Just pause and step the feet wider, maybe just nearly as wide as the mat, but the same position. This is a variation of Warrior 1, Virabhadrasana 1, taken from embodied yoga principles, which is slightly different from normal yoga. And in embodied yoga principles, it asks you to come into the pose, so find your warrior, and notice how this resonates with you, how you feel the warrior in your body. Is this something you have in your life, this inner strength? Is this something you need more of in your life? And breathe. Release the arms, and we'll turn and take Warrior 1 to the other side before moving on. So first, the traditional yoga Warrior 1. Right toes point to the short edge, left foot points about 45 degrees, hips are kind of that direction. The back leg is strong. Inhale, lift the arms, bend that front knee to where is right for you. You are the warrior with drawn swords. You are part of Shiva. You have been created by Shiva, the higher self within you. And release. Step wider, so about as wide as the mat, a stronger, more stable base, a bit like in martial arts actually. Raise up the arms, come back into this version of warrior. Virabhadrasana. Does this resonate with you? Do you need more in your life? Or do you need to pull back your warrior? And release. Come back to the front of the mat. Have a little shimmy. Have a little shake. And take the feet out, ready for Virabhadrasana 2. Turn the left toes out to the short edge of the mat, the right toes in a little bit. Here, let's bring some self-compassion and self-love in and take a hug. And a breath. Then sweep the arms out. Warrior 2. Here, the sword is drawn, the sword is heading towards Daksha. The ego is about to take a hit. So this is your warrior in action. Not just ready for action, but ready to move now. How do you relate to your inner warrior? And release. Swap sides. Turn the left toes in, right toes out. Bit more self-compassion and love. And sweep out, ready to take off the head of Daksha. Even if it's not such a good idea and you're going to have to find a goat head. And breathe. Notice how it feels in your body. And release. Turn both feet forwards. Just before we come into Warrior 3, we'll take a wide-legged forward fold just as a release. Soften the knees. Hinge at the hips. Hands down to the mat. And move a little side to side. And breathe. Release. Walk the feet in. Lengthen through the spine and sweep back up. And come back to mountain pose. Okay, Virabhadrasana 3. Warrior 3. So, turning towards the left edge of the mat, start by shifting the weight into the left foot. Take the right toes just behind and hinge at the hips. In the traditional Warrior 3, the arms are going to be either side of the head because sword is going to be held out and the head is going to be in the other hand, or the head is just being held in the hands depending on which version you read. Hinge at the hips, knowing you are coming into the final step of your warrior, and breathe. And release. Have a little shake. Turn round. Warrior 3 the other side. Shift the weight into the right foot. Step the left toes back. Arms framing the ears and hinge into your Virabhadrasana 3. Taking off the head. And release. Let's take another wide-legged forward fold just to release the spine. Soft knees. Hinge at the hips, down to the mat. And breathe. Let's take a twist. Left hand to the mat, right hand to the sky. Release. Right hand to the mat, left hand to the sky. Release. Walk the feet in a little, pointing the toes out, sinking the hips, coming into your Malasana, yogi squat. Maybe you are Shiva, up in the mountains, having your period of contemplation. And breathe. Release the hands behind, and we'll have a little twist before a period of relaxation. So, stretch out the feet. Take the left leg, bend at the knee, left over right. Your choice with the lower leg, remember, for half Lord of the Fishes or Lord of the Fishes. Inhale and lift through the chest. And then this time take the right elbow the other side of the left knee. The left hand behind. Inhale and lift. Exhale and twist. Inhale and lengthen. Exhale and twist. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale and twist. Release the head, the arms, counter twist, and swap sides. Give the feet a little shake, and this time bend the right leg, right foot over left. Your choice with the lower leg. And again, we do it slightly differently than we have done previously. So take the left elbow to the right knee, right hand behind. Inhale and lengthen. Exhale and twist. Inhale and lengthen. Exhale and twist. Lengthen. And twist. Release the head, the arms, counter twist. And just turn, stretching your legs out on the mat and rolling down. Bring the knees into the chest and rock side to side. And we'll have a happy baby here. So, hands on the knees wider than the body, feet up to the ceiling. Reach the hands on the arms on the inside of the knees and the outside of the feet. And breathe. Maybe rocking a little in your happy baby. And you can take hold of the big toe with your index and middle finger and stretch each leg. So first the right, release, the left, release. One more each side. First one, then the other, and then both together. And breathe. Release the legs, stretch them out, coming to lie on the mat for Shavasana. Relaxation. Noticing your breath and your body once again, tuning back into yourself. And breathe. Take your attention to your right hand. Notice the thumb, the index finger, the middle finger, the ring finger and the little finger. Notice the palm and the back of the hand. Be aware of the wrist, the forearm, the elbow, the upper arm, the right shoulder. Allow your attention to move across the body to the left shoulder and all the way down to the left hand. Notice the thumb, the index finger, the middle finger, the ring finger and the little finger. Notice the palm of the hand and the back of the hand. Be aware of the wrist, the forearm, the elbow, the upper arm and the shoulder. Be aware of both arms. Take your attention to your right foot. Notice the big toe, the second toe, the third toe, the fourth toe and the little toe. Notice the sole of the foot and the top of the foot, the heel and the ankle, the lower leg, the knee, the thigh and the right hip. Take your attention to your left foot. Notice the big toe, the second toe, the third toe, the fourth toe and the little toe. Notice the sole of the foot and the top of the foot. Be aware of the heel, the ankle, the lower leg, the knee, the thigh and the hip. Be aware of both legs. Notice the belly rise and fall with the breath. Notice the chest rising and falling. Be aware of the full length of the spine and the back resting on the mat. Notice the neck up to the head and the face. Be Be aware of the eyes, the ears, the nose, the mouth, the chin, the cheeks, and the forehead. Be aware of the entire body resting on the mat just for a little while. Deepen your inhale and deepen your exhale. Wiggle your toes and your fingers. As you're ready, gently rock or push yourself up to a seated position. And come back to where we began. Take the hands down by the sides. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, release. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, release. Inhale, sweep. Exhale, release. One more. Inhale. And release. Notice your breath. Notice your body. Enjoy your day. See you soon.